The first portion of the body is made the same way as the head. When you were increasing to get the size that you wanted for your snowman head, you're going to start it the same way for the second part of the body, except I made my body 2 more increase sizes larger. So on the head, we stopped at 1 single crochet into 5 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 6th stitch. For the second portion of the body, I made 2 more increase rounds, and so I stopped at 1 single crochet into 7 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 8th stitch. My yarn marker, I always use just like a scrap of yarn, and I was using pink, but some of the yarn, because of this bristly type of yarn that I'm using that resembles snow, you can kind of see it on video, it kind of pulls on the yarn and it's leaving a little pink residue. So to avoid that, you can just use the same colored yarn as a yarn marker if you want, or just use real yarn markers. And then now you're going to take and the lights, you're going to take the wire, you're going to leave about 3 inches length between the head and the second part of the body, and then just lay the wire along your crochet work, because we're going to crochet around the wire. So you can see how I have my 3 inches of wire here to give me some room between the head and the body. And then you're just going to place your yarn marker and you're going to make 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and you're going to go behind the wire and bring up a loop with both yarn strands again, and then make a single crochet, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 1 round of lights, just like you did with the head. And then come back. So this is what my work looks like so far. I have the head. I have approximately 3 to 4 inches of wire between the head and the second part of the body. And I've already increased it to the size that I want. And I have a total of 54 stitches in the round. You can see that I have my lights around. And now I'm going to drop the wire for the lights, and I'm just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. I'm going to move my yarn marker up to help me keep track of my rounds. After the second round of 1 single crochet in every stitch, after you placed the round of lights, you're going to make sure that the wire that's coming out of the head, that 3 to 4 inches that you have, make sure that you bring that out. So lay it right where you left off. And then I'm going to bring my yarn over, but you can see how I'm bringing it forward. So now this is the right side, and then the inside of the body is the wrong side. You're bringing that wire forward. That way the head will rest right onto the top of the body, because the wire needs to come out. Otherwise, as you crochet, the head's no longer going to rest directly onto the center, and you'll have to undo your work. So make sure that you bring that wire forward just like I did, so that the head will be able to be sewn right on top of the body. So now what I'm doing is I'm just taking, this is the yarn that I'm crocheting with, I'm taking a little bit of the yarn, from the opposite side so I can go ahead and sew the head on and sew it in place. So go ahead and get some of your yarn so we could sew the head in place. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take my tapestry needle and take both of the loose yarn ends from under the head, put them into my tapestry needle, and you can do it one at a time too if you want to. I'm going to try to do it with both. So I have both yarn ends, and I'm going to bring it right down the center of the body. So I'm going right in, and then I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot on the inside. Now you can see how the head is secure on there, and the wire is going down the back side to the second portion of the body. And now I'm going to go ahead and sew my head in place. You can wait if you want to and sew it after you've completed more of the body, but I'm going to go ahead and secure mine now. So I'm just going to take my tapestry needle and get the same colored yarn, and then I'm just going to sew the head in place. So my head is sewn on to the body now, and I don't have to worry about the wire in the back. Fits nicely. So now I'm going to go ahead and continue I still have the wire that I'm still crocheting with. I'm just going to let that hang for now. And then I'm going to take my crochet hook, go right where I left off. I still have my yarn marker in place. So I've completed 2 rounds so far of 1 single crochet in every stitch. So now I'm just going to go into the next stitch and complete my 3rd round of 1 single crochet in every stitch without my lights. So now I've finished 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, and this is where you can decide on how many battery pack lights that you want for your snowman. I have enough of the lights left for 1 more round. It looks like 1 or 2 at the most, maybe 1.5. So I'm only going to use 1 round in this body, and then I'm going to put another round into the 3rd portion of the snowman body. But if you want more lights, you can add them. Just crochet in the lights just like I showed you how to do, and then you would hide the battery packs the same way that I'm going to show you with the 1 battery pack. So when you run out, you would just start crocheting just like you did with the head. You'll just start crocheting with your new lights. But for mine, I'm going to just continue to not crochet with the lights and just carry them towards the end of the 2nd portion of the body, just like I did for the head. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish the length of the 2nd portion of the body. So I'm going to take and move my yarn marker up, and I'm going to continue just making 1 single crochet in every stitch around. And for my snowman, I'm not going to carry the lights. I'm just going to keep them at the same position as I crochet the rest of my rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. So here I've made it to my 2nd round, and I'm just going to show you for 1 stitch I'm going to crochet around my lighted wire just to hold it in place, and then I'm going to let it go again. So you can see on the inside I'm kind of carrying the wire along the back as I'm making my rounds for the body. So now I'm going to drop my wire and just continue with 1 single crochet in every stitch. So you can see how I finished 6 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. Now you can take and just leave a little bit of a loop. We're going to come back to this to start closing the snowman. But on the front, you can go ahead and sew your snowman buttons on. This is how I lined mine up. I just lined it up right with the nose. I went ahead and used my same colored yarn, but you could use your clear color if you want to. Then for your first decrease round, you're going to make it the same way that you did with the head. The only difference is your starting decrease round is going to be 1 single crochet into 7 stitches, and then your decrease stitch or single crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now I'm at my next decrease round, and as you decrease it'll get smaller and smaller. Don't forget to carry your wire along the back where your yarn marker is placed, and it's going to come out just like it did for the head. And just like the head, you're going to decrease with each round. So for this next round, it's going to be 1 single crochet into 6 stitches and then my decrease stitch, and then repeat that pattern. So go ahead, I'm not going to close this. You just continue closing it just like you did for the head and stuff it around the third where you have 1 single crochet into 3 stitches and then a decrease stitch. Go ahead and start stuffing with craft stuffing. So this is what the second portion looks like so far, and what the lights look like. Now I'm going to start on the last bottom portion of the body, and you can see how the wire, how much I have left over. So I have 1 more round left that I'm going to make in the lower body. For the last part of the body, you make it the same way, except that I increased the last increase round for the last part of the body is 1 single crochet into 9 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 10th stitch. And then the rest of the body is made the exact same way. When you start to decrease the last part of the body, you're going to start with 1 single crochet into 9 stitches and then make your decrease stitch. So those are the only differences for the last portion of the body. I had 66 stitches after finishing the increase rounds for the bottom portion of the snowman. You could see how the lights look. I made it the same way that I did for the second portion. So this will go just like this. So I left about the same length, and I'm going to bring it up just like I did for the portion sewing the head to the body. So when you get to that portion, you can go ahead and bring the loose yarn ends through just like you did for the head and the second portion of the body, and then sew on the bottom portion and then complete it the same way. Again, the decrease rounds for the bottom portion would be 1 single crochet into 9 stitches and then your single crochet 2 stitches together to close. So I'm on the round where I'm sewing the lighted wire around, and this is how far I got before needing a second skein of yarn for the bristled glistening yarn piece. And then this is how much I have still left over from the 1 skein of the soft white colored red heart yarn. So this is what my snowman looks like so far. You can see that the head is slightly smaller than the second part of the body, and then that's slightly smaller than the last part of the body. So the last part of the body I had increased up to 1 single crochet into 9 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the last stitch, and then I made my 1 single crochet in every stitch around. After I finished my round of lights, And you can see where I came out with the battery pack. And this will go towards the bottom of the snowman. But after I finished my round of lights, I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch before I started the decrease rounds. And the decrease rounds for the larger snowball is one single crochet into 9 stitches, and then your decrease stitch, and then you just decrease like you did for the rest of the bodies consecutively, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you just decrease and slip stitch closed. Now I'm going to show you how to make the arms for your snowman. I've already made one, and this is what it looks like. So you're going to start the same way that you did for the snowman body and head, and you're going to increase all the way to one single crochet into 3 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 4th stitch. Then you're going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch around for 6 rounds. Then go ahead and move your yarn marker up for a decrease round. You're going to make 1 single crochet into 3 stitches. And then you're going to make your decrease stitch. So you're going to go into the next stitch over and bring up a loop, next stitch over and bring up a loop, then yarn over and go through all 3 for a decrease stitch just like you've done before, and then go ahead and repeat this pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then you can go ahead and move your yarn marker up and just make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 6 more rounds. So 6 more rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. After you finish your 6 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches and then make your decrease stitch and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then you just make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 6 more rounds. So for mine, I'm running short on the second skein, so what I'm going to do is just tie a knot. And I'm finished with 3 rounds. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish up the rounds with just my soft white colored yarn and then tuck the rest of the snow-like yarn in the center and just finish up the rest of the arm with my regular yarn. So you can see that you barely can tell, it's barely noticeable. I just finished my 6 rounds. So it was almost enough to finish the arm, not quite there. If I would have conserved a little bit more of this snow-like yarn on one of the other things that I made, that may have helped bring me to the end. But like I said, you can't even tell. So if you run out too, you can just continue on with just your regular colored yarn. Then just make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. And then go ahead and finish off and just bring enough yarn through to sew the arm onto your snowman. And you're going to want to stuff the arm with some craft stuffing. And I stuffed more of the craft stuffing in the bottom portion of the arm and not as much in the upper portion. For mine, the second arm is where I ran out of the snow-like yarn, but I just continued on with the regular soft white colored yarn and you can't even tell. So you can see I just stuffed the bottom portion of the arm and left this part, the upper part, flat, and it's ready to sew onto the snowman. So you can see my snow arm is in place, and then I just sewed right along the top of the arm. Make sure that you line it up so it's equal with the other arm. And mine is 2 rows down from the head. This is what the slip cover looks like. That will go on the back of the snowman, and you can see how it will easily slip over and hold your snowman onto the stand. So the slip cover is made the same way as the head, except you're going to stop after 1 single crochet into 2 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 3rd stitch. Then after you finish your increase round, you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 22 rounds, and then slip stitch and finish off. For the back slip, I lined it up in the center of the back of the snowman, and then I'm leaving the top part open and then just sewing along the side, just going in and out, and then just coming up along the side. And just sewing the side of the sleeve to the back of the body. And then when I come out of the body, I go through the body about a stitch over, because you don't want your yarn showing where you're sewing it to the sleeve. So that way it hides that you're sewing it. You don't see the yarn, and it's securing it to the body. And then you do the same thing on the other side. And you want to leave the gap. Don't sew the gap down, just leave that open. So I only sewed this portion over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 rows. So then after you're finished sewing the stand cover on the back, you can bury your loose yarn ends. And what I found is that once I go through the body, I like to go a stitch over and then go back through and come out anywhere. That just helps to secure the loose yarn end even more. I decided that it only needed to be sewn to the body, the second portion of the body. You don't even need to sew the bottom portion of the stand to the lower part of the body. Just leave it hanging free. So I only sewed it on both sides of my snowman. Now I'm going to show you how to make the battery pack case. You can take the same colored yarn, and this time I'm just going to crochet with just the yarn, and just fold the yarn over on itself to form a loop. Take your crochet hook, go right through the loop, and hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and thumb. Then yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for a slip knot. Go ahead and cinch that slip knot down. Then you're going to make a chain. Just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1 chain, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to make a chain the length of your battery box. For mine, I made a chain of 12. Then I'm going to take and hold that last stitch with my middle finger and thumb, and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That's going to count for your first double crochet for the next row. Then you're going to yarn over, go into that 4th chain from the hook, which was the stitch that you were holding, and then bring up a loop. Make your double crochet, yarn over, go through 2 of the loops, 2 loops remaining, yarn over and go through those 2 remaining loops for a double crochet. And then you're going to make 1 double crochet in every stitch back across. So yarn over, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, make your double crochet, I'm going to make 1 more with you. So yarn over, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, make your double crochet, go ahead, finish making 1 double crochet in every stitch back across, and then come back. I used a heart button for the back of my battery box. Then when you finish your last double crochet, go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn your work, and then you're going to make a double crochet into the next stitch over. So your double crochets will be directly over each other. And then you just keep repeating this until you get the size that you want that will cover your battery box. When you come back, I'll show you how many rows I made to cover mine. Now if you're using the candy canes too, then you're going to make yours big enough to fit both battery boxes. So when I show you the length of mine, it'll be for both. If you're not using the candy canes, then you would just make it slightly smaller. So I'll show you both sizes for mine. So for one battery pack, I made 11 rows. So I left about 3 to come down for the button. And then you could see how it folds right up, and then you would just sew the sides. But since I want to place both of my battery packs in, I'm going to make a couple more rows. So again, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm going to make 3 more rows, which would come to 14 rows for the double battery pack. So I finished 14 rows of 1 double crochet in every stitch. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish off, just yarn over. And I'm going to go ahead and just pull enough yarn through to sew the edges together. So you're just going to take the end that you have, the long end that you left for sewing, and fold it up so that you have 3 rows of double crochet showing, and then just take your tapestry needle and sew both edges together. You can see how I sewed one side and then tied a knot. I'm going to leave this here because you still need to sew the battery pack box to the back of the stand. So go ahead and sew the other side the same way. Then after you've finished sewing both sides, then you can take and just bury any loose yarn ends. I just kind of weave the yarn through. And then go ahead and cut it. Then you want to go ahead and place your battery packs inside, and then fold the top down to see where you're going to place your button. Between the double crochet spaces will be your button loop. Then you can take and sew your button in place. I'm using a little heart button, and you can see how the top will fold right down. And then you have a little battery pack. Now you could sew it onto the back of the stand. Bring your yarn to the back of the battery pack, and you only want to sew the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the double crochet, 2 rows, a little square to the back of the stand. And you can even go up or down, don't sew the button cover. Just sew the back. You could go 3 rows if you want to make it even more secure. So now I'm getting ready to put the little snowflakes on, but this is what the lights look like so far on the snowman. I have the candy canes wrapped around, and then on the back, this is what he looks like so far with the battery pack. You can see the cute heart button, and it's holding both battery packs nicely on the back of the snowman. You can see how the red wire will wrap around the snowflakes.